Hey guys, Karen from the Homeschool Bunch, and I was just checking in. I know we haven't had a lot of videos lately. Things have been kind of crazy around here, and we're trying to get back in the swing of life and figure out what direction God's putting us in next and trying to start some new avenues of business. And also, I wanted to talk about, because this weekend was yesterday, we didn't get to do a video about it because we were really busy with church, and we're in a boys adventure group too that meets on Sunday afternoons, so we weren't able to do anything when we come home. We just kind of chilled out and got ready for the next day. And this morning and today we did homeschool and did some errands and some different things. But one thing we did cover in homeschool, my son requested this. He said, can we cover about 9/11? And yesterday, as you all know, was the 15th anniversary of this event. He asked where I was. His dad was on an oil rig out in the Gulf of Mexico waiting we were engaged at the time, and he was waiting to come home. And I can't remember if he was going to come and see, used to, when we were engaged, he would come see me and then go see his parents. Split at the time because he had a lot of friends that lived near me too. So that's what he would do, and he was actually stuck on the rig for several days because air travel was totally restricted until they could tell what was really going on. And another thing is, I was working full time at a church. As I said before, I was actually working at a church as a children and youth minister, and my mother called me from where she worked at a bank nearby, in about 40 miles from where I was. And one thing that I told him that stood out to me was the first thing that the pastor and I thought about doing was opening up the church for prayer. And I had heard stories of how churches just were packed back in the 1940s after Pearl Harbor, and during times, there were several times when things would come on the news about the events during World War II. And it was many times that the churches just packed full. And yes, a lot of churches had a lot of people in them the next Sunday, but that day I was just, how can I say, surprisingly disappointed, because I just figured we're going to have a packed house. And I can count on two hands how many people showed up at the sanctuary to pray during that day. And I stayed till 8 o'clock that night. And it was getting dark, so I went ahead and closed up because I was by myself. But I went through and showed JC the footage that NBC had, and we went through the timeline, and he wanted to see how the president found out. And he was surprised that the president did not, when he was visiting, as many of you know, he was at a school. And he couldn't understand why he didn't drop everything and jump out of the room and go do something. I said, well, he was probably preparing in his mind what he was going to say to the nation. Plus, he did not want to panic the teachers and the students there. That is one thing that I've talked to him about, is God doesn't want us to ever panic no matter what's going on. I mean, the world could be falling into pieces, but we have a peace that passes all understanding. And no matter what you're going through, because we've had friends that are going through times right now that I don't know how in the world they're living through it. And we've had our own things, and we've had friends who have had death in their families and sickness, and it's kind of like one of those times where you say, what else, God? But we know. And that's one thing that I have learned. I was the worst to panic about things and to to worry. And I've realized that that's a sin, because we're telling God, we don't trust you. We don't think you can do what you really can do. And I think 9/11 was a time too that God really showed us that, yes, it was awful, but God held it together. And it wasn't until 2011 that Osama bin Laden was killed. And we still have ISIS, and we have things that could really, really make us go through every day fearful and worried and filled with anxiety. But God doesn't want us to do that. He wants us to just live each day to the fullest. So I challenge you, first, answer your kids' questions. When they ask you the hard questions, ask God each day that when they do answer the hard questions, that He'll give you the words to give them. And our kids are a lot more mature than we realize they are. And I believe too that it is one of our jobs and our calling to prepare our children for what the world will be in the future. And part of me is concerned about that because of the world that they're growing up in. But I've got to remind myself God's in control, and you're supposed to be raising champions for Christ, and that I am supposed to be building them up so that when the times get tough and when the champions need to stand up, that He won't be afraid to do it no matter what, and that I will have faith that God will take care of him, and God will protect him, and God will be before him. I hope that, I don't know if I rambled too much, but I hope that today that you got a little bit gleam of, not wisdom, well, if it's any wisdom, it was only God speaking through me. So have a great evening, and hopefully tomorrow we'll get some more videos up for you and some more fun videos, and I hope some of the homeschool tips that we've been giving have been good. We had a pretty good day with homeschool today. There was a few bumps in the road, but they are continuing to do their work and continue to succeed in it. And we just pray that your kids are able to do the same thing. And one thing that the biggest thing I'm so thankful for is that we're able to take time to study in the Word every day with my children, and that I don't have to worry about we have the freedom to do it. And those people that fight for our country every single day are the ones that are fighting for that for us, so that I can teach my kids about Christ and not be persecuted or arrested or killed. So we thank you, servicemen, for all that you do, and servicewomen. And we thank you, families of those who have paid the price, the ultimate price. And we love you, and we pray for your families, and we pray blessings from God for you. And thank you for all that you do. Y'all stay awesome. Thanks a bunch.